Oh, Sugarmouth Lounge. Oh, episode number, Eddie. What is it?
191.
191. Okay. Pink, I'm going to need you to say something as well.
What do you need me to say?
Good. I'm
All
Alec.
right.
Yeah.
Pink, what have you got coming out on your channel this week?
I've got a ton of Dead by Daylight coming out on my channel this week.
Okay.
That is it.
Okay. Eddie.
Nothing, as usual.
All right. Yeah, my week. This week, nothing unless Elon Musk drops a satellite on me.
Yeah, unless Elon Musk Kineko busters a satellite on top of your tummy. Specifically
Yeah.
your tummy.
All right. So, what is coming out on the FOS channel, Addy?
So, on Monday, we have part 13 of Strider. Somehow the initial freaking session of Pink and I playing through the game has still not finished. Even that we recorded Strider in 2 sessions, by the way. Like, the one session was the initial playthrough that's still going, and then that was the run. And that's it.
Yeah.
Then, on Wednesday, I want to say, I think, on the 18th, that's the way to make sure. On the 18th, we have episode 13 of Fighting Games R. And finally, the things have changed a bit.
Yes.
And then, on Friday, we have episode 14 of Ratchet and Clank, titled Sonic Adventures. Because Ratchet was rolling around on the speed of sound, we just couldn't help it. So that's all.
All right. Pink, what have you done for the past week?
Not a lot. I did watch the first My Hero film that takes place at some point in time between season 3. I don't know. I'm confused on the timeline.
I don't bother with anime films, Pink, and this is
They're usually not canon, but I was told that these were, and then when I watched it, I felt like, I probably could have skipped that. I don't feel like anything important happened. I mean, some new characters could have shown up, and I wouldn't have known who they were, but aside from that, it had the typical thing of, stuff happens, and then anything introduced in that film is wrapped up and put away at the end of the film anyway, so it really doesn't matter.
Yeah, because status quo needs to be God, so that you don't have to watch the movie, because not everyone will be able to, and they still want people to watch the series.
Right.
Which is why the only thing that you should watch the Naruto movies for is for the redesigns of the characters. That's literally the only reason.
I'm not even gonna.
Oh no, I'm not saying you should watch them. I'm saying that if someone,
I can't fathom how that would become a thing. Like yes, one day Pink will actually watch a Naruto movie. Pink did not finish season 1 of Naruto.
I mean, I didn't watch the freaking Naruto movies, and I watched through the whole series, dude. So I'm just saying, like, the only excuse that you could have to actually watch the Naruto movies is because it has redesigns of the characters and they look interesting, I guess.
Right. But yeah, the first movie, it's actually a lot like Die Hard, just not quite as good, but it's hard to be quite as good as Die Hard anyway. So, good attempt, very well done.
Weird.
Yeah.
How is it like Die Hard?
Because the film takes place during a terrorist attack in a giant tower. That isn't really a terrorist attack, but somebody actually trying to get something else from the distraction.
Is Bakugo the terrorist?
No, he's a hero.
That doesn't rule him out.
You're not wrong. So the main plot is that there's a scientist guy who built something and then had it taken away from him and locked up, and now he hires a group of quote unquote actors to hold this tower hostage so he can go up to the main floor where all the we'll call them artifacts are, so he can get his little trinket out of storage, I suppose. Plot twist is that all the actors he hired are actual bad guys, so that didn't go so well for him. He got shot multiple times. It was wild. Surprised he's not dead.
This is what the gum fruit does
he
to you.
got shot enough. He got shot enough that he developed bullet immunity.
Yeah. Like Fiddy.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, so why not?
I'm gaining health with every bullet because not a single one was a headshot.
Yeah, like I said, like Fiddy.
Yeah. His was a headshot though.
Was it?
Yeah.
Shit. I didn't know.
The
I just
jaw
got.
is part of the head.
All I knew is that he got shot multiple times and somehow lived.
A good couple of bullets, I think, went in the body, but one of them, yeah, shot him in the jaw, and that's why he has such a unique rapping style, because he had to have his jaw surgically reconstructed or something like that.
Ah. Wild.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy, yo. Who was that?
50 Cent.
50 Cent.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah, right. Anything else in your week, Pink?
Wait, before
not
we
that
move
I
on,
recall.
before we move on from My Hero Academia, I just wanted to point out that literally the day after we recorded that last podcast, I think it was on the last podcast, or I just have shit memory, I don't know. But literally the next day, like scans of the next issue of the manga surfaced, and it turned out that fucking I'm forgetting his name, but whatever, the cum demon.
Right.
Grape boy. Turns out he may be either gay or bi, and I just found that really funny.
Yes, I did see that. I did see some people. There being tweets of what's his name? Mineta is confirmed gay, and like a bunch of like people on gay Twitter being like, "Take him back."
Yeah. you know, like that's something I can get behind. No one should have Mineta. Mineta is his own thing. He sucks.
Mineta is Mineta sexual.
Yeah. So Pink, what's your thoughts on Mineta?
I hate him and I want him to die.
All right.
What else did you do this week?
Not a lot else. It was I did some Dead by Daylight was soon. That was fun.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
So he's super new, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was asking me for advice on Steam, which of course I had to offer spare stuff because I can only offer so much with intermittent phone service.
Yep.
But one of the ones was he asked me, "Who's your favorite killer out of the free killers?" And I said, "Oh, Hillbilly." And then soon went, "Easy. He's too easy. I'll play Nurse." Fucking played Nurse, and I don't know if it was his first actual public game against people. But yeah, played Nurse, and they came back and was like, "Okay, so that sucked. He got 0 kills, of course."
That's surprising.
Yeah.
Nurse isn't easy.
Yeah, Nurse, renownedly easy killer. Just pick him up and play.
They literally tell you in this description, this character is hard. It's spelled out in bright red letters.
Soon thought they went the other way.
So Soon was like, "Oh, hard to beat. I get it. This character's easy to hard to beat."
No, Soon was just like, this character's horny? Okay, I guess Nurse. It fits.
Is Nurse? I would almost say Oh no, I was about to say Nurse is probably the least horny of the female killers, but that's probably wrong. The horniest female killer has to be Plague, right? Despite how disgusting she is.
I didn't recognize any of them as being any such way, so I'll take your word for it.
Oh, I've played Plague like once. Well, I actually haven't played her, come to think of it. But I have her, and I set up her loadout, and when I went back to the main screen, you know, it does that kind of like, the main menu screen does that kind of perspective behind their like back, and you can see their side.
Yeah.
Plague's got lots of side cleavage.
Oh.
Which again it doesn't really work for her because she's Plague, but you know. Yeah, you can just imagine though one of the survivors being like, "Oh, look at those! Yeah, oh god!"
Gets projectile vomited upon.
uh, all right. So how was Soon's games in DVD?
He didn't do too bad. It wasn't terrible. We were kind of we had some mismatches both with our teammates and with the killers because we faced some killers who were pretty obviously experienced with the game, and then we also had killers that really obviously didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah.
And then we also had a lot of teammates where, yeah, some of these guys really know what they're doing. Others didn't, like, whatsoever. I had multiple times where I was the one who would die first. Actually, that happened more than once. And not of my own fault, but because somebody would body block me or just not be where they're supposed to be or just wouldn't come to get me off the hook for all three stages. So, yeah, a lot of inexperience to go around there.
You know you're playing with new people when they are like, when the killer is not camping the hook, the killer's on the opposite side of the map, and the survivor is still trying to sneak to get someone off the hook.
Yeah. And that's if they bother at all.
Yeah, that's also true.
Oh man, yeah, a lot of fun with Soon though. Things went well. We actually won a lot more matches than I thought we would, so things went well.
Man, every time we play a game of Soon, it causes our elo to ping pong.
Right.
Oh boy, yeah, there was definitely. I remember having a similar issue with Mike when I'd play with him sometimes. All right, anything else this week? Soon, soon.
How
Pink.
dare you? Not really anything else. I finished the game of Civilization on the Switch as Phoenicia. I was going hardcore into Science Victory and wound up with Culture Victory regardless because I had conquered Korea very early on because they were in my way and they had to go.
Yeah.
And every city that she had that I took from her had just tons of prime location for national parks and eventually what are they called, the seaside resorts as well. So by the end of the game I had 7 or 8 national parks across, and these are consecutive parks across maybe 3 or 4 cities at most, and just seaside resorts everywhere. So Culture Victory was kind of inevitable with that because England was the only other competitor because they had a lot of great works of art and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I had a lot of spies, so those all became mine anyway. So that's
Our
how that
works
went
of great
down.
art.
Thank you for giving us your great works. We
Man,
took
it is.
without asking though, so kind of a raw deal for you.
You'll get over it though.
You can come visit us anytime. We
There's
have open
something that,
borders. You're welcome to all our museums. You
There's
can
something
gaze upon
ironic.
the works that we've stolen.
There's something ironic about that happening to England.
I had climbed aboard that train of thought. Once I finished my sentence, I was like, oh my god, that's so ironic. Oh man.
Man, I swear I'm never gonna get like more than one natural parks in any of my Civ 6 games because I just spam improvements everywhere and ruin tile appeals.
All right. It's like production is such a strong thing in Civ 6, but the mines decrease the appeal of all the adjacent tiles. So I always have to remember, don't build mines, because if you want to go for culture, you'll need those national parks, and you can't make national parks if all your tiles have an appeal of -2.
Yeah, and there's only like 2 or 3 civs in the game that have improvements that can increase appeal, right?
Yes, I believe France and Persia.
What about the Mapuche?
They don't increase appeal.
Right,
At
they
least
just
not that I
oppose
remember. It's just that you can't build their chemicals on something with less than what is it? There's it's not average appeal. It has to be higher than average. I just don't know what the next one after average is.
Isn't it like a weird jump, like from average to breathtaking or something like that?
It might be. It might be. I think there are 2 stages of breathtaking, a 5 and a 6. But it might just go directly from average to breathtaking.
Yeah, that's in real life. Yeah, there's no like line between. It's an average kind of pretty cliff versus. Oh my god!
Oh my god, have you seen this cliff?
Yeah, there's no such thing as someone just going like, oh yeah, no, it's a pretty cliff. Pretty good, pretty good. All right. Anything else this month? I was about to say month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, nothing else this month, actually. Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Well, I guess, it is just about a month because August did just pretty well start a week ago. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eddie, what does your week look like?
So, let's see. For video games, I finished my 7th playthrough of Ghost of Tsushima. I'm in the middle of the 8th one because I own like 3 games. You know, it really is funny when you've played through a game this many times and you're just like, oh well, I don't need to do this, I don't need to do that, I don't need to do this. To just keep going through the list and only do it like where you can just freaking decide what you want, which missions you actually need to do, and which side content you actually need to go out of your way to actually get to unlock the things that you want by the end of the game, so that you can have it in the next one.
You make playing the game sound like a hassle.
It feels like it a lot of times. By the time you play through it 8 fucking times, dude.
Why do you only have 3 games?
Well, I don't literally only have 3 games, but I don't like. Let's see. I have fighting games, just in general, like a couple of them. But like, yeah, I have like 4 games in the Assassin's Creed series. I have all but Kiwami in Yakuza. I have Spider-Man. I have Persona and God of War. So like, there's not a lot of variety in my freaking library with what I actually have at the moment, because like that's the PlayStation side. On PC, I'm mostly on fighting games because that's the thing. Those are what run usually.
Yeah.
Like technically, I own freaking things like Killer is Dead, which I would like to play through, and like Metro 2030. I don't remember the actual name of the first Metro game, but yeah, that one. And like that 2066, because W bought me the freaking $100 version, if I remember correctly, or something stupid like that. But none of them runs. So hey.
Oh shit, what's it called? The kind of Lovecraftian fantasy RPG. Does that one run?
Call of Cthulhu?
Not Call of Cthulhu. No.
Lovecraftian fantasy RPG. I don't.
The one that's all black and red, and it's a side scroller. We played
Darkest Dungeon. Darkest Dungeon. Yeah. Yeah, that runs with like, I don't know, somewhere between 5 and 15 frames. So sometimes I can play it. Yes.
My God.
Yeah. So that, and then like technically I have a more varied Xbox library. I don't have an Xbox at the moment. So because like, like technically I own all of the Star Wars games that were on the original Xbox. I own fucking like the most Sonic games that's on the Xbox through one means or another. I own like, I don't know. I own a lot more games, really. I just literally have no access to them, so hey, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of stuck going through games that I that I have played through already, because I don't have the money to buy new games at the moment, and I won't for the foreseeable future, and I also haven't for the past year, so I'm kind of stuck.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there was something I actually did want to point out about Ghost of Tsushima, but I forget what. Because it was just such a small thing in the middle of, I had to listen to freaking Ishikawa again. Ishikawa sucks. Bloody hell.
He does. That's always the thing that cracks me up with, like, especially this kind of video game. Like, Ishikawa is like the one character in the entirety of Ghost of Tsushima who's presented as being like, just you're master, better than you in all ways regarding archery. But the trouble is that if the player is at least mildly competent with third-person shooter controls on console, on stick, then because they are at least mildly competent, and NPCs in video games are always nerfed to all hell to prevent them from doing all the hard work, it results in a situation where Ishikawa is treated both by Jin and Ishikawa as being by far Jin's superior, and Ishikawa just shits all over Jin, and Jin just takes it, and Jin's like, yeah, you are better than me, Ishikawa. But in all gameplay, Jin is like by far the better archer.
I mean, I don't know. There's not a lot of actual like Ishikawa teaching archery to Jin in the game. There's a lot of like there's Ishikawa teaches Jin how.
There's implied teaching.
I don't know, cause like what I remember of Ishikawa's part in the game is Ishikawa going, no, I can fix this, and meanwhile everything is on fire because he wanted to fuck a younger woman, and that's about it.
Did they ever make it out explicit that he wanted her like that?
Well, I don't think
they make it pretty explicit that Grandma did get it on with her maid, but I don't think they ever make it explicit that Ishikawa and the thief ever had an actual thing.
I don't think they explicitly say it, but it's heavily implied in a dialogue between Masako and Ishikawa before you free up I'm forgetting his name. I wanted to say it fast, but I don't remember. Bloody hell. The uncle.
Yeah, but don't you think Masako might be projecting?
I don't know.
Because we do see that she has we do see that maid, and that maid is like less than half Masako's age.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just something like I would like. It's behavior that I could see out of someone like Ishikawa. So.
I mean, I'd like to say that he's like just the worst person ever because he told me that I was wrong at some point, but you know.
I mean, it's not even that he tells Jin that he's wrong. It's the like. I don't like it. It is just how what's the word I'm looking for? Bloody hell! This happens every week. I just forget the necessary word, and then we're stuck for 10 fucking minutes. Great.
Ishikawa
his
carries
arrogance.
himself with such an arrogance that he thinks that he is entitled to sexual relations with women who are much younger than him because he thinks that he's old and wizened and has the right.
I mean that and also like if you just think about his backstory is that he taught some guy who was supposed to be a clan leader how to do good archery, and that guy in turn killed his own dad, which brought shame on Ishikawa because Ishikawa was supposed to stop him from killing his own dad somehow. I forget how.
I entirely forgot this whole storyline.
Yeah, that's the whole thing with like you even get to use the guy's bow and meet the guy in Legends actually that killed his dad,
Oh.
I think. But yeah, like he taught some dude how to do good archery, and the dude killed his dad. So that's why Ishikawa was ashamed enough to move up into the mountains where nobody will find him except that he lives next to a town. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. And then, like, apparently, Tomoe just found him in the woods and was like, "All right, teach me how to do good archery, man." And he was like, "Oh, you're hot, sure." And that's pretty much yeah.
That's not what the dialogue is. The dialogue is she had passion. She was so naturally talented at it and something or other. And I don't remember exactly what Ishikawa says, but I can tell you Ishikawa does not go, "Man, Jen, you know, she came to me wanting to learn how to use the bow, and I wanted to learn how to use that push."
Oh yeah, he does say that she was like naturally talented and stuff, but like, and I from what I remember, she does show that she does actually have talent, but like, you know, with the implication of Masako and how Ishikawa, like the relationship between Tomo and freaking Ishikawa was shown in the cutscenes, it just feels like something he's bring up to make it like, you know, to muddy the waters, make it less obvious. That's what I've just been around too many fucking assholes that I expect this sort of behavior.
Yeah, from my perspective, it's just, you know, innocent until proven guilty, you know? And it's not like, to me, it's not aggressive subtext, you know?
I don't know. I guess to me it's more aggressive just because of how arrogant Ishikawa is during his time where he's supposed to be repenting.
He's not the best written character in that game, that's for certain.
Yeah, like both him and the uncle to me are like those two could have
went. Was fantastically written.
I thought he was fine, but I thought like he became too flanderized at one point to me.
Well, I think the difference between Ishikawa and Shimura that makes the big difference between them is that the player is expected to sympathize with and like Ishikawa, whereas Shimura you're only really supposed to like in chapter 1. And then after that he's supposed to be bastard.
I don't know if you're really supposed to like Ishikawa. Like he's there, but like I feel like they do much more to make you like Kenji, and Kenji's not even a fighter.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think that they would write a side character story in such a way that you would try to like him and come back to do his missions again later, you know?
Maybe.
Not only that, they hired a voice actor who's doing like a shitty Clint Eastwood impression. They're trying to get you to like him.
I didn't notice the Clint Eastwood impression because I never watched Clint Eastwood, so hey.
There's a joke there, but I'm not sure what it is. What else did you do with your week, Addy?
So yeah, aside from forcing myself to go through Ghost of Tsushima because there's not like I would watch videos, but I just can't seem to find any that actually interest me. So usually I just have a choice between playing Ghost of Tsushima or I have picked up BlazBlue, like proper. I actually started trying to learn how to play BlazBlue because there's like I don't think there's any other fighting game that I own aside from Melty Blood that I don't know how to play properly.
Yeah.
And so here's the
Okay.
so here's how that happened. I re-downloaded Marvel 3 because I needed footage for the review for a review that I'm working on, I guess. But yeah, I did that, and while getting the footage, something clicked, and I suddenly remembered how to play Strider Hiryu, which like it was a forbidden art that I forgot pretty much. Like,
Yeah.
because I used to play a lot of Strider in Marvel 1. I don't remember Marvel 2 all that well. Like, I remember playing Hayato, and that's pretty much all of my Marvel 2 memories, because like, that and Amingo. I remember Amingo. You can't forget Amingo.
Nobody forgets a Mingo.
Yeah. Make sure. But yeah, so I used to play a lot of Strider in Marvel 1. But when I started playing Marvel 3, I completely I remember that I used to play Strider, but I didn't remember how to actually play him, so I just kind of sucked. So I dropped him. But suddenly I freaking for some reason just decided to give him another go, and suddenly I remembered his actual specials that I was supposed to use and where I was supposed to use them. So then, I guess in the meantime, a lot of people have been talking about Darkstalkers. Yes, I can pronounce things sometimes. But yeah, so a lot of people have been talking about Vampire Savior, and that reminded me of John, who is pretty much like him and Raptor are the only characters that I do remember that's not Morrigan. Like if I really try to think, that I remember most of the rest of the cast, but those are the two that I played the most. So those are the two that I remember, and I was like, I really want to play as John Talban again, but I don't really feel like downloading him for Mugen because it's too much of a hassle, and there's no real way to play Vampire Savior. So then I went, BlazBlue had that freaking wolf dude, and I remember him playing similarly. So what if? And that's the story of how I became a Walkenhayn main, because he's in more games than Jubei and Susanoo, so hey.
By a count of like one.
Yeah, but I own that
Are
one.
you really that intent on going back and playing Chrono Phantasma?
I am playing Chrono Phantasma because I don't have to run Chrono Phantasma in 480p or less. Actually less.
Right. I forgot about that. Yes. The only copy of Central Fiction is on PC.
Yeah.
Fuck.
I did that Central Fiction. Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I did add Central Fiction to my PlayStation wishlist just in case it goes on a good enough sale for me to justify buying it again. Or like, buying it for the first time because you bought it for me the first time. But yeah, like I do remember I did specifically ask you to buy that game for me just so we can eventually get around to modding it with the freaking girlfriend or whatever, the Central Fiction plus mod or whatever that replaces like most of the characters' movesets with unlimited shit.
Oh.
But yeah. And Walkenhayn is a character. I mean, BlazBlue is BlazBlue to me now is in a weird spot where I don't really dislike it, and like I'm having some fun learning Walkenhayn. At the same time, one thing that I really dislike about BlazBlue, and that is very much just a BlazBlue thing from what I can tell, is how specialized all of the normals are. Is that something you've
Yeah.
noticed, W?
Yeah, I'd say it's not universally the case. Like, for instance, Ragna has pretty basic normals, but for several of the characters, Hosma being the biggest example I can think of, normals are very specialized in oddball,
Yeah.
which is unusual to the usual fighting game mindset where you're used to most of the normals just being punch or kick.
Yeah, and it still trips me up because most of the characters I play are like that in Blaze Blue somehow. Because Susanoo is the only one that actually gets normals from what I remember. Like his makes sense, but Jubei's normals are weird, and Valkenhein's are very specific. Like forward punch, like or forward A, which is the light attack, is a very close range launcher. Why? Why not? Anything on heavy attack, anything on heavy attack is footsie. It's footsies except for the sweep input, which is actually a launcher, a close range launcher. Once again,
Yeah.
freaking forward heavy does a drop kick.
To be fair, Blaze Blue is the kind of game where I think all sweeps are launchers.
I haven't noticed, but maybe. That's something I might need to check out. Yeah.
It's been a while since I've played, but I feel like I remember Ragna could start combos with sweep. Kind of like Uni. In Uni, sweeps are launchers, you know?
But yeah, but the sweeps are still sweeps. Like sweeps still hit low usually. Like there are some oddball characters like freaking Gordo. Gordo has a move on sweep input where or freaking down heavy where it's a close range launcher type move. But most other characters, from what I remember, still are sweep like in that they're attacks that go low, at least, and sometimes trip. Not this one.
Yeah.
not for Walkenheim or Jubei. Because both of them are like, well, Jubei is mid range. Walkenheim is, I don't even know what range it would be, like launchers. And by mid range, I don't mean like, I mean from a footsie's perspective, I guess, from like when you're pretty close. Because like I don't know how you freaking divide the battlefield, but like for me there's like proper screen range, and there's also close range fighting ranges.
Yeah.
And so in a close range fighting thing, Jubei's down heavy is about mid range. So like unless you're nearly to a point where you can't even attack really, like when you're in peak footsie's range, that's the only time when it won't hit. Valkenhein's is weird because it's a lot closer range, but it also hits backwards for some reason. Like, yeah. So it's been an experience trying to actually figure out how normals work with Valkenheim and actually like putting them into combos and stuff, and also figuring out the actual John Talbane shit, like where you become a bullet and freaking fly through the screen. Like
Yeah.
the shit May used to be able to do with Victory or whatever it was called, I forget. That stuff is very easy. I mean there is some execution to it, but because there's like, I don't know, 2 or 3 options out of it. Well, 2 or 3 options without stuff like Roman cancels and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like once you have the rhythm down to it, it's not that hard to juggle people with that shit. Making interesting stuff with it is like seems possible. I haven't been able to figure out how to do it yet, but you know, I'm learning the character. That's part of the process. I can see shit being there. I need to find it.
Yeah.
I think that's all the video game stuff I've done.
Okay.
Then I didn't draw as much as last week, because bloody hell. But I did draw one thing that I remember, which I was like, hey, brain, what if we like try to just do some character stuff, you know, just practice drawing people, and I was like, okay. So what person or like character do I want to draw? I don't fucking know. Which is usually what happens when I try to draw anything, really. So I just started doodling around. And I was like, okay, you know what? It really bothers me that I can't draw Alex, like at all. So what if I try to improve that? So I went into the drawing going, okay, so let's draw Alex. Let's not draw the fucking goblin the goblin merging of Matt and Pat from best friends. And my brain was like, okay. Instead he'll be seen. So then I went full on it. So W, if you need a Halloween outfit, you can go as a, oh, I put it in the wrong freaking channel. Give me a sec. I'll move it to the right one. But yeah, W, if you need a Halloween outfit, you can go as a douchebag. Here you go. I even gave you a snap bracelet.
Why the suspenders?
I don't know if that was a thing over there, but over here the scene kids like some scene kids used to wear it.
Why am I a scene kid?
That's what I was explaining in the whole thing leading up to it.
Okay.
Like the big reason is because I was trying so hard not to draw you as the fucking goblin merging of Matt and Pat that I tried to do a different way to draw your hairdo, but I don't know about you, but to me it looks way too emo.
Yeah,
more or less.
I mean, I don't know what you're supposed to do. And all the times I've had to draw myself, I pretty well just draw myself as a mixture of Matt and Pat.
I don't know.
Like,
maybe.
Yeah. I'm not actually like anything even slightly resembling either of those two. It's just the easiest option for me. But I don't know what you can do, like what ammunition you've got when that's all I'm giving you.
But I have seen your face multiple times through the face cams. So I can use that.
That's true, but that's a world of difference between. I mean, I know your drawings of yourself really resemble your pictures of you.
Look, dude, with enough advancement with either freaking gene splicing or neuroscience and robotics, I will get there. I have actually I have thought probably an unhealthy amount about the actual scientific ways that I could get to having a proper functioning tail. It's not healthy probably.
Yeah, the easiest thing would be animatronics.
Well, yeah, the easiest way would be animatronics, but like my idea is that I would want something that actually like, you know, functions as like, what's the word? Like, you know, they're an actual natural thing. So like you would need robotics to emulate the proper muscle movement, and to send the robotics data, you would need to somehow intercept the actual like freaking the brain waves to fucking like, you know, like have basically a supercomputer somewhere on the body that can decipher emotions somehow, and then freaking send that data to the tail, so it can mimic proper animal movements. The issue with that is that like maybe the robotics part is close. The neuroscience part needs another like 5 million years before we get there. So
yeah,
because like there are so many leaps in science that would be required for something like that to exist, that like not only do I not expect it to exist in my lifetime, I don't expect it to exist ever.
yeah, give it enough time.
I mean, I guess, but like at the same time, we would need a way to intercept like the freaking like the mind waves, and how like shit is interpreted in the brain. We would need to intercept that. We would need a way to decrypt that. We would need a way to actually like properly like, what's the word, like understand how it works. I guess I don't remember the proper word. And then we would need a way to decrypt that information again, so it can be sent to a computer, so the computer can understand it in its own way. And
Yeah.
that shit is very complex. And I don't think like you know, I think we have better issues to work with in neuroscience than that for now.
Yeah.
But yeah. So that, and then let's see what else happened this week. But I did have a funny. I use, like, you'll notice I use funny for basically anything that I can't properly explain the I don't know, like, how I feel about it, I guess. Because like, whenever something weird happens to you or whatever, something you can't properly understand happens, from what I understand, the brain defaults to laughing. So, and I just freaking tie those two together, I guess. But yeah, so I didn't, like, okay, how this isn't even something that actually matters. Why am I freaking, like, I'm just trying to present it in a way that's entertaining, I guess. I don't know, whatever. But long story short, my mom made me come out as a furry to her friend, which was very weird. And the thing that I didn't expect.
Have you explained to her yet that this isn't something you want people to be learning about you first from? Because you make it sound like you're very uncomfortable with your mom revealing these things, but it's happened a lot. So have you told her not? Have you asked her not to do that?
When I was small, yes, it's futile. But at the same time, like, with the furry thing, like, I am getting to a point with it where, like, you know, I'm at a point with it where I want to get comfortable enough to freaking for it to not matter, pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the one way that seems like I can get that is just through shock therapy, pretty much. Like, just you know, just do the thing, and then freaking, like, struggle your way through the consequences, and then learn from whatever you learned. You use the information, use the data gathered. But the thing I didn't expect for her, expect was for her friend to go, oh yeah, the freaking words. Yeah, but I didn't expect her to actually be like, oh yeah, that's a really cool drawing of you. Like, she genuinely liked my fucking persona. It was weird. Yeah. And, like, I don't have to worry about her friend telling people about it, because we've known her for a while. We know that she doesn't really speak about that sort of stuff unless we tell her that it's okay.
Yeah.
But, like, even if she did, like, and most of the people I know in this country overall, really, I don't like. So it doesn't really matter to me what they think.
Yeah.
Like, the reason I care so much about, like, appearances and stuff like this is just because I don't want to be falsely judged, I guess. That is something that I have thought about because of this. Like, I don't really care about what people I know think about me all that much. Like, I care, of course, because if I freaking, like, you know, if I want to have a good relationship with someone, then I care about what they think of me. But a lot of the people around me, or a lot of the people that I have met, I don't really have a good relationship with, nor do I want one. So I don't really care about what they think. And really, I just, like, the reason I care so much about appearances is because I just don't want to be falsely judged, because, oh well, you know, I carry myself one way or another.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was a funny occurrence to me. So yeah, that's my week, I think.
All right. For my week, this was kind of a game beaten week. I don't know why, but let's see. One out of the way first, I guess, just because it's not so much related to the others. But for the first time since I have started playing the Total War series, like 5 years ago, I have actually beaten the Total War game. I beat Total War Three Kingdoms.
Nice.
It's very strange, though, in Three Kingdoms because they reprogrammed the AI to not be so suicidally stupid. In other Total War games, the AI will say, anytime you're at war with the AI, you can annihilate the AI and take out half of all of his cities. And he'll still be going, never give up, never surrender, death before dishonor. Oh, it's my last settlement. And you're sieging it right now. Peace treaty? Three Kingdoms is weird because I pretty well had the entire northern third of China under my direct control, and I had pretty well the entire middle third of China under alliance. And the guy who ruled the southern third of China, Sun Ce, was invading the middle third of China, so they were obviously like, hey, can you please help with this? I go in, start, taking a couple settlements, and the guy who controls the last third of China is just like, hey, you're kicking my ass. Can I give up? Can we? I give up. And that was just straight up. He just surrendered and gave me his lands. And I still had a third of China to go through, it looked like. And then it was just like, oh, hey, the guy surrendered. You win. What? Oh, okay. The funny thing is, I could have rejected him and just kept going, campaigning through the rest of China and burning his cities anyways. And I was very tempted to do that, but either choice that I made in the diplomacy, for some reason, that particular choice, because it can end the game, I guess, and the game is trying to figure out the coding for it, I guess. Regardless of whether you accept or reject the diplomatic choice, it takes a solid 20 seconds of loading, and the game gets stuck on one FPS loading to resolve that. I guess especially because the other AI is actively giving up, so the game is just kind of like, well, I guess we'll keep going if you insist, but he's not going to be putting his best foot forward. How many games have you seen where the AI will actually recognize, oh, I'm fucked? Well, that's it.
Very few.
I'm very happy with it because it means the game doesn't fucking drag out in the end.
Indeed.
If only you get toady civs and Civ 6 where Civ recognizes, okay, I'm not winning this. Well, time to play Kingmaker. All right. The other games I've beaten, I beat Half-Life 1 and the 2 expansion packs it has on PC this week. And that was a rather big one again because Half-Life 1 is a game I have been playing for 10 years, but I've said this before. I get to about the level on a rail and stop there every time for the past 10 years, and it's been once a year I do that. And this year I finally pushed forward and beat the game. Here's the thing. I was playing not on the original version of Half-Life, but on the Source port, Half-Life Source.
Ah.
Yeah, apparently that explains a lot. Because then I was like, all right, well, let me install Opposing Force and Blue Shift so I can play through them. Oh, they don't have source ports. That sucks, but I guess I'll play them anyways. I was rather pleasantly surprised to find out, despite the fact that Valve has not put any games on the Gold Source engine in 17 years, if even that, they nonetheless are still supporting the Gold Source engine with regular updates. So you can totally play Opposing Force or Blue Shift on a modern PC, a modern graphics card, at full 4K resolution and everything, no issues.
Nice.
With modern features of 16 times MSAA and shit like that, and loads of anti-aliasing. It's very strange. But either which way, starting to play Opposing Force and Blue Shift, I noticed there's some things about Half-Life Source that are just a bit weird. And when I was playing Opposing Force and Blue Shift, I very much realized, oh shit, you shouldn't play the Source version of Half-Life 1. You should just play the regular version.
Yep.
There's a lot of things that changed, and I won't go into all of them, but one of the most bizarre and remarkable ones is that some of the guns in Half-Life Source just suck for some reason. Whereas in the original Half-Life, they're actually usable. Like the submachine gun, like the signature gun of Half-Life 1, honestly, fucking sucks in Half-Life Source. And I don't know exactly why. I think it boils down to how the Source engine handles bullet sway and like kickback on the guns. Because like the SMG in Half-Life Source is ludicrously inaccurate. If you fire one shot, Gordon's camera flies halfway fucking up the screen. And that's not how it's done in the original Half-Life. I thought that was very strange. Either which way, with the goofery of the Source port out of the way, there was one thing I wanted to mention, which I found very funny because I was noticing it was very much the case. I read a possibly apocryphal, but I don't think it was, story from one of the Valve developers who worked on Half-Life 1 explaining, well, when we were in like the late alpha stages of working on Half-Life 1, we had all these assets ready, all the stuff you know now, the scientists, security, Zen aliens, and so on. And it just what we thought we had the good workings of a good game, but it just wasn't working. Because we had good set pieces, but everything in between just seemed kind of bland. And then, you know, we were like, all right, well, let's just test it out. Let's just get one solid level going, and where we'll just test out everything. So they made this beta testing level where they just put all the set pieces, the big set pieces from end to end. And they played through that, and they're like, holy shit, that was amazing. What we have to do is make levels consisting of nothing but set piece to set piece to set piece. And boy, yeah, is that Half-Life 1. I had never quite occurred to me, but that is just a game that throws set piece after set piece after set piece at you. And I think that's a big part of why Half-Life 1 is so beloved by so many people, is that during a single run of Half-Life, you are going up against so many wildly different threats, from the army to the the Zen aliens, to just like Black Mesa being this weird, fucked up industrial compound that makes no sense. You remember the room that's just the fucking boxes, the crates floating on ropes above an abyss for no reason?
I think so.
Yeah, what the fuck was up with that?
Storage.
yeah, I guess. No, you want to know the real bullshit one? The one in the lab that's just spinning like shuriken on, like, over a white board or something? And they call it the surgery room, but it's just like spinning shuriken on little metal arms that spin in 360 circles, and that's it? Like, that's not a fucking surgery room. That's a giant garbage disposal.
Depends on how you look at it.
I guess so. I will say, I will never, ever not love the stupid fucking scientists. Especially when they get hit and they just go, no! Ah! One other thing that I wanted to mention is, what was I going to say? Shit. Anyways, opposing force, Half-Life 1, I think, is, Half-Life 1, the original Half-Life 1, is pretty strong. It's aged pretty well in some parts. Like, the parts where Half-Life 1 has aged poorly, it has at least aged poorly in a way that's very quaint and amusing. As opposed to some games that have aged poorly where it's just, like, frustrating, or, like, you look at it and you're like, oh, that's not as good as I remembered. Like, Half-Life 1 is aged in ways where it's like, haha, scientist AI dumb, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you never actually have to rely on them, so it's funny watching the friendly AIs just commit suicide in the dumbest ways. Or just walking around during a fucking apocalypse going, why do they make us wear these ridiculous ties? Like, behind them, their buddy's getting shot.
I mean, sometimes you have to rely on them, but it's rare. Like, I think you need I think you need a guard at the start of the game once.
There are 2 mandatory doors in the entire game that require a scientist to open. That's it.
Yeah.
There's 2 mandatory doors for security guards to open as well, but security guards are less likely to just commit suicide.
Yeah, they have guns.
Yeah. And where it has aged properly is, the action set pieces. It's still a very good feeling shooter. I assume from playing the games that are actually running on Gold Source, the original Gold Source engine. Because, the Half-Life Source, it feels a little bit funky at times. So moving on to the proper Gold Source expansions that I played, Opposing Force is really good. I'd always heard people treat it as like being this great expansion where Blue Shift was kind of eh. And that's pretty accurate. Opposing Force it throws a lot of like set pieces at you that remind you of Half-Life 1. And part of the whole fun of Opposing Force is that Shepard pretty well Opposing Force begins just about where Half-Life 1 ends. Like the 5th to last mission, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it is. 5th to last or so mission as Gordon is where the military pulls out. And that's where you pretty well start as Shepard. And so the game is largely consisting of like a pretty even mix of entirely new areas of Black Mesa that you get to play as Shepard and revisiting areas that Gordon's been through. But they reuse assets in a very good way. It never feels like you're lazily just playing through the same levels you did as Gordon. Because it's pretty well always like either vast reinterpretations of old levels, or like you can tell this used to be an old level, but something has changed and it's made it entirely different. Like, oh yeah, I was with this room. I went through this room as Gordon, but when I went through as Gordon, the room wasn't underwater. So that's really neat. I like that a lot. The other really cool thing with Opposing Force is they added a whole variety of new enemies called the Race X enemies, who are like pretty well non-canon to Half-Life 2, which is funny. They're not a huge addition because they largely behave similarly to the Zen aliens, but they're still cool to have some enemy variety. The more important thing is gun variety, because Opposing Force, Shepard picks up like, I don't know, 3 or 4 of the same guns that Gordon does, but other than that, Shepard has an entirely different selection of guns, which is very cool on Gearbox's part. Yeah, this is back when Gearbox wasn't a complete fucking joke. It's strange to think about that, isn't it? The Gearbox just started out as making Half-Life expansions for Valve. Now, you want to know what's real funny, though, is that Randy Pitchford... You guys can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Okay, because I can't tell when the phone service goes out. The really funny thing is Randy Pitchford was working on Duke Nukem Forever for 3D Realms in the mid-90s, I believe. But he left to start his own company, probably because Duke Nukem Forever wasn't getting done. He started Gearbox, and they did Opposing Force and Blue Shift for Valve. And someone went in the files for like Opposing Force or Blue Shift and found that like one of the NPCs, I don't know which one, is labeled Duke Take'em Forever. And then the really great thing is, of course, cut to 10 years later, Gearbox gets the fucking range of Duke Nukem Forever from 3D Realms. They also take forever to finish it. And when they do release it, it's a fucking joke. Funny how that shit goes, huh?
Yep.
Indeed.
I mean, Duke Nukem had an expiration date, though.
He did. He very much did. I think if they wanted to do Duke Nukem today, they would have to, like, Duke would have to be gaming's Deadpool, is the only way they could pull him off now.
Duke Nukem gets a reboot. He names himself Dick Kickham.
No, Dick Kickham needs to be like the Doodle Bob to Duke Nukem.
So the best superior character, I see.
Duke Nukem should at the start of the next game see a cloning machine and be like, oh yeah, if I clone myself, I can bang double the babes. balls of steel, and he just goes in the cloning machine, and Dick Kickham comes out, and Dick Kickham just comes out like saying like, "Hey, I've come here to chew ass and kick gum, and I'm all that ass."
But he's like, I don't actually remember if the whole the Dickie Cam quote had the picture of Duke Nukem with like 30 ciggies in his mouth, all of them burning. Burning.
It was a very shitty doodle of Duke, is all it was.
Yeah.
And the game just becomes about now Duke has to like get rid of this abomination he has released upon the world. The alternative, of course, is
Duke unmakes his game.
No, yeah, that's what it's about. Duke has to go back in time and kill Randy Pitchford to stop Duke Nukem 3D, Duke Nukem Forever from coming out.
Yeah.
Oh my god! So
the Magic Chef was an inside job. Duke Nukem set Randy Pitchford up.
Oh my god! Okay, so you guys know the classic Doom 2 Easter egg where the final boss like spouts satanic language at you, right?
Yes, John Romero.
Yes, but it's actually just the lead dev, John Romero, saying, "In order to beat the game, you must kill me, John Romero," and then they just reversed it. So, in Opposing Force, you fight the big, stupid gene worm at the end, and it's like the worst fucking boss fight in the whole series, which is saying something, because Half-Life boss fights fucking suck. But the gene worm is god-awful. And when you fight him, he says, he's voiced, of course, by Randy Pitchford, saying, "In order to beat the game, you must kill me, Randy Pitchford," and he reversed it. And it's like, don't get me wrong, I love a love letter to Doom, but, like, could you do it in a more original way than just straight up copying the same Easter egg they did?
Right.
And it's also, like, it's part of the fun with Doom 2 is that, like, John Romero was kind of a star developer at the time. You know, people knew who John Romero was. Nobody fucking knew who Randy Pitchford was when he was making Half-Life expansions.
No, for a proper reference to a Doom Easter egg, what they should have done is the final boss is having to hang Commander Keen.
When you enter the boss fight, for some reason, you just hear a Commander Keen voice line, and then you just hear chomp. That's why the Gene Worm's so nightmarish. She's absorbed Commander Keen's soul.
Yeah.
Opposing Force is really good, except for those boss fights. Those boss fights suck ass. Let me put that in perspective. So the final boss of Opposing Force, the Gene Worm, is a big-ass alien that's, like, trying to come through a portal into Earth, but its ass is too fat, and it gets stuck halfway through. But nonetheless, the head and some of the tentacles come poking out of the portal, and you have to kill it with 2 turret emplacements that are on top of a set of, like, catwalks above the concrete floor. So at first you run between, and of course you use these turrets to shoot its eyes, because this is basic game design. Shoot the big monster in its eye, right? And after you shoot each eye once, then it opens up, it shows its heart, which is made out of energy, and you shoot it once, and then it goes, "Oh, that hurt, I don't like it." And he spits out an alien soldier to fight you. You do that about like 2 or 3 times, and then the catwalk between the 2 turrets breaks. And so the new thing becomes that you have to fucking jump between the 2, except that, of course, this leaves you entirely vulnerable to the enemies. And if memory serves, I don't think you can even jump between the 2. The distance is too great. So what you do is you grapple from one to the other, and then you have to jump down from the catwalk, walk all the way around into an entirely separate room, platform up a couple of boxes, and then you get back to go to the first turret. Then you shoot him in the eye again. Then you have to grapple hook over to the second turret again, shoot him in the second eye again. Then you have to climb down off the catwalk, back down to the floor, go into the next room over, climb up the boxes, go around the catwalk that's up there. Okay, back to the first turret. Also, every time you do this cycle, he spawns a new enemy. So you can imagine just how delightful of a boss fight design this is.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, let's do the most vanilla, boring ass, copy and fucking paste boss fight design of all time, but then let's just make it a bit shittier. Oh my god.
What if Nintendo never came up with the rules of 3?
Yeah. Yeah, you do it. You do the loop like 6 times on normal difficulty. I do not want to play on hard difficulty ever, because on like hard difficulty, you apparently have to do the loop like 10 or more times.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus. Let me get in a couple more words about opposing force, just real quick. For one thing, the music is kick-ass. I don't know how many of the songs are recycled from Half-Life 1. I didn't notice. If they are, they chose the right ones to recycle from Half-Life 1, because the music is kick-ass. I also want to say real quick, just to get this out of the way, I am playing through Half-Life 2. I don't have anything to say about it particularly. Well, I'll have plenty to say about it when I beat it, but also, music in Half-Life 2, better than I remember. Fantastic music in Half-Life 2. Either way, get back to opposing force. I wanted to mention, there are 2 particular new guns they add with opposing force that are delightful and just in their creativity, like remarkably for Gearbox. One is the disconnected barnacle, which Shepard just sticks on his hand, I guess. And it's a fucking Half-Life barnacle, right? It's this weird, like, it's just a mouth and nothing else that has a big sticky tongue. And you're supposed to use it as grappling hooks, because there are several points across opposing force where there are like alien egg sacs on the walls, and the barnacle, you can shoot out its tongue and grapple to that. But you can also use it as the world's strangest melee weapon grappling hook, where you shoot the tongue out, and if it's one of the smaller enemies like head crabs, it pulls them in towards you. But for a big enemy, it pulls you towards them. But it doesn't matter what size the enemy is, apparently. If you do that and pull yourself towards it, the barnacle will eat it. The barnacle is small enough to fit on a human hand and not be much bigger than it, but you will have the alien grunts, who are about 10 feet tall and about 3 feet wide, and the barnacle eats them in about 2 seconds.
Look, dude, don't underestimate the power of war.
Yeah, straight up. Like
war
just
never changes.
It's just the Vor gun.
Yeah.
And like you can kill every enemy in the game that way, and the barnacle just never gets full.
Just
also, how's the Yeah. Well, I wish that was a possibility. That would make the game. That would be such a better boss fight. It's just this gigantic fucking room-sized monster, and Shepard just whips out a tiny barnacle and just holds it out while it eats the giant monster. Yeah, that's at a certain point, Shepard is no longer the hero of opposing force. The barnacle is. Put the barnacle on the front cover of opposing force.
I'm just imagining like freaking like newspaper articles with pictures of the barnacle, and the headline is "War saves the day."
Vor, hero of America.
Yeah.
Vor for president, 2004.
I like how the barnacle's name is now just War.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure there is like a monster in one of the Half-Life games. I don't remember which, honestly, but is named like a Vor or something.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But like, there's like one of the fucking monsters they added, like, or one of the monsters that they cut, like a cut monster was named like a something Vor, you know?
Yeah, I remember hearing something like that. I also remember the friend.
The friend?
It was something like that. There's a monster that one of the designers' children designed that was called something like the friendly or something like that. It's the most like freaking
yes.
like, it was cut. It's like the most Lovecraftian monster in the game. That's why they call it was too scary.
Yeah. That child is aware of things they should not be.
Cthulhu, yeah.
Yeah. They just told, Father, you will add this to the game. What'd you say? Add. Or else. Cthulhu Fatagan Nilria. And they're like, okay, son, I'll suggest it to Gabe. And Gabe was like, holy shit, I don't know where this came from, but send it back. We're not putting this in the fucking game. So that guy went home and told this kid, I'm sorry, son. They wouldn't put your monster design in the game. And then the whole house just went silent for a week until the police came in and found just blood everywhere with no bodies.
Yeah. House ate them.
What was that fucking monologue from that fucking game that Matt and Pat played where the house is the monster?
I don't remember.
That. Oh, man. I also saw something the other day, a video of a person playing through a game.
Mr. Friendly, that's what it that's the name.
Yes, Mr. Friendly.
I'm gonna send a picture to Pink. He can see it. Pink, are you still among us?
Pardon me?
Amogus.
Are you sus, Pink?
Usually. What the heck is that thing?
Mr. Friendly. That's one of the cut monsters from Half-Life. A child designed it, if I remember correctly.
Oh no, I remember. They said they didn't so much cut it because it's creepy, but they cut it because it's obviously phallic.
Yeah.
Which is bizarre because Gabe Newell has just out. You remember the Gone arc, Addy?
No.
The head crab mother that's just the big ass testicle walking around.
I don't.
The boss that you fight as soon as you get into Zen is the Gone arc.
I never played Half-Life, dude.
Oh, I thought you had at least seen footage of it.
No, I've probably seen footage of it, but I didn't I didn't play any of the Half-Life games. I've seen a lot of footage of 2. I've seen a good bit for 1, but not as much for 1 as I did 2.
Okay. The mother of head crabs, like the head crab mother monster you fight in Half-Life 1 in Zen, is a 15-foot tall armored head crab that's green and has what is supposed to be a gigantic egg sac dangling underneath it, but instead it very obviously looks like you're fighting a giant set of testicles.
I see.
And for a long time, people were like, oh, how could they have not seen it? And someone, of course, in an interview, just straight up asked Gabe, did you mean for the Gone arc to look like testicles? And Gabe just said, of fucking course. Fucking look at it. Of course we meant it to be a ball sack. Are you crazy? I think he even said, there comes a point in game development where you have such an attitude of fuck it, where you're like, fuck it, we're just going to make the boss fight a giant testicle, deal with it.
And that's why the half of Steam is hentai games now.
Yeah. Oh, sweet. A new video game just came out on Steam. Gone Arc Adventures XD? What?
I like to imagine that before being accepted on the Steam library, Gabe plays through all of the hentai games just to make sure.
There are a lot of jokes, yes, about Gabe being a fat white guy who runs a storefront that entirely consists of hentai games now, yes.
He needs to make sure that they live up to his expectations of quality.
They thought that Steam dropped their quality standards. No, they just changed them a bit.
Yeah. Look, I mean, how could the world live without freaking? I think there's a specific game I'm thinking of, but I don't remember the name of it. But I genuinely think the name is something like Hentai Cowboys, and it's just this woman, this anime woman, in nothing but cowboy boots and a cowboy hat, in what is very obviously an Astro Flip trying to cash in Red Dead Redemption 2.
Oh, yes, I've seen that, and it's named something really stupid and on the nose, like Red Porn Redemption or something stupid like that.
Yeah, I genuinely think it's something like freaking hentai cowgirl or something stupid like that.
And I want to say the cover is just straight up her doing Arthur Morgan's pose from the cover of Red Dead 2
I think so.
with the gun and everything.
Yeah, and I remember I saw I forget who it was or why, but I saw this video of a guy playing through those games because they are very cheap, and he wanted to laugh. No, actually, I think it might have been something like Steam Roulette. It wasn't Funhouse that did it, but it was something like Steam Roulette where they just roll through literally all of Steam's library and played whatever the roulette wheel rolled for like 15 minutes. So they bought that game because the roulette wheel demanded so, and they played it, and there was legitimately nothing in the game. Genuine, like there was maybe half a settlement, but I'm not sure if they were enemies. Like, I don't think there were people aside from your character.
And various phallic shaped implements.
Not even that. that like implementing actual like freaking porn stuff was too hard for whoever made that. The game I'm thinking of at least. Because like, you know, there's obviously shitty porn stuff, but there's at least some shitty porn that people put effort into. Like there was that game that got pulled from Steam because you could jerk off in it. Like, you know, the game sucked. Yeah.
I was actually just about to mention that before we even talked about that. Yeah, Achievement Hunter played that, and I watched that, and obviously it was censored. But it was obviously, like, very funny because it was like a porn game. But, like, it was shocking, like, holy shit, they put a lot of work in on this. Also, holy shit, that Achievement Hunter playthrough has aged horribly because you know who was on controls for that playthrough.
The freaking the guy. I don't even know his
Ryan,
name.
Yes. And there is a section where for whatever reason Ryan thought it was a good idea to jerk off in the closet while watching a girl, and it was obviously for the joke of like, haha, he's playing a pervert. But it's like, oh boy, this joke wasn't that funny to begin with, but boy, it got less funny somehow.
Little did we know that he was method acting.
Yeah.
But
you don't need to method act when that's just your life.
I guess.
That's
no,
not
I mean he was playing the character method acting him.
Does it count as method when they're just filming you being you?
I guess. I mean, freaking Keanu Reeves is getting paid to play Keanu Reeves recently, so maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, Keanu Reeves is in this wonderful position where, like, everyone agrees he's not a good actor, but everybody loves him, so we just kind of accept him being a bad actor.
You know, with the announcement of Knuckles as actor, I saw someone post, okay, now we need to make Keanu Reeves Shadow. And on one hand, that's very miscast because Keanu's voice doesn't fit Shadow. On the other hand, he doesn't give a fuck about actually trying to act. At least freaking based off of his prior voice acting work that I have seen, which is to say Cyberpunk. But like, he may not have the voice for Shadow, but he certainly has the I don't give a fuck attitude that you need for Shadow. So maybe.
Oh God!
I just want like even Sonic the Hedgehog 2, they should make like, if Shadow is in it and he is Keanu, then he needs to freaking do that breathtaking thing to something that like to in a manner that makes no sense. The less sense it makes, the better the scene.
Okay. Okay, who's the fan pick for Tails then?
Yeah, the actual voice.
Oh. Yeah, that one's kind of easy. Hasn't she voiced Tail for like the last 30 fucking years?
I think so. Both her and Eggman have been voiced for a pretty long time because Mike Pollock got picked for Eggman's voice around the time of the 4Kids dub because that's when they actually started speaking, I think. But yeah.
Yeah.
And then ever since then, he's been Eggman because there's no better Eggman.
Can I just mention around the time that it was announced he's playing Knuckles, someone just posted in reply like a picture of him in Cats and saying, "This man will do anything."
I mean, look, someone needs to be the new Porcupine on the block.
I guess so.
And they couldn't get the voice of Parappa to freaking to even make his music anymore because it turns out the guy's an asshole.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, finish up what you were gonna say. Yeah.
I was just going to say that if I remember correctly, the guy who did Parappa's voice was also the guy who did the music for Knuckles.
I don't know.
Yeah,
you know better than me.
They don't sound similar enough to me, but I never actually looked into it hard enough to confirm. So, like, like I've seen people say that they're the same person. I don't think they are, but I don't know.
I'm not gonna lie, I can't think of any video game rap songs, especially from that period, because for whatever reason, I've got like just a 5-second stint of the Lanky Kong rap stuck in my head.
he can stretch his arms out.
Like I'm just hearing the lyrics. He's got no something. He's got no style in my head.
He has no style. He has no grace. This Kong has a funny face.
Ah, okay.
He can stand when he needs to and stretch his arms out just for you. Those are the lyrics.
I've never played Donkey Kong Country, nor have I ever listened to the music. But
that's not even a Donkey Kong. That's not even a Donkey Kong Country thing. That's the intro to Donkey Kong 64, which I have played, by the way.
Okay. I guess I could just thank Fine Sauce Joel for that.
Yeah.
All right. So the last couple things I want to say about Opposing Force. For one thing, voice acting. They generally did a very good job of getting the voice actors from Half-Life 1 to come back and voice the new lines for security guards and scientists and so on. But they decided to redo the Marine voices entirely so that they're not text-to-speech. And
that's why, though. It's funny.
As funny as it is to hear the Marines go, "Recon, team, go!" and then they blow themselves up with grenades. They did decide, okay, we want the Marines to be a bit more sympathetic in this game, so they shouldn't sound like robots. So they brought in fucking John St. John, as in Duke fucking Nukem, Big the Cat John St. John.
I was about to say, but his other role is more famous.
And I thank the guy who voices Postal Dude in Postal to have them voice Marines. And I gotta say, John St. John ain't a bad voice actor at all, but it is beyond goofy to hear because John St. John still uses his Duke voice for the grunts. So it's Duke Nukem and the Postal guy talking to each other in Half-Life, and it's just like, wow, this would work fine if those two actors hadn't played the same characters they did. But I just keep expecting to hear one of the Marines talk about how he needs to go to the fucking STD clinic to get his gonorrhea checked.
You keep hearing the Marines talk about Froggy.
Yeah. Oh no! If only. That would be okay. What would actually be great is if you, when you go back and see Gordon getting kidnapped by some of the Marines, they change the dialogue lines Opposing Force. Froggy!
Yeah.
Don't worry, Froggy. The pain will end soon. It rubs a lotion on its skin, or else it gets the hose again.
I love Big the Cat.
Say, Amy, you wouldn't happen to be a size 7, would you? Would you help me with this couch? Would you fuck me, Sonic? I'd fuck me.
It depends on which Sonic. Cartoon and game Sonic, probably not. Comic Sonic, probably.
Meanwhile, Pink is so horrified he's gone catatonic.
Catatonic
just
from Beat the Cat. Ha!
Oh, God.
Ah!
Now imagine all this being said by a heavily armed U.S. Marine dragging a comatose man to parts unknown. Oh, boy. The last thing I got to mention about opposing force is there is a very cool gun they add called the Displacer. Now, its primary fire is literally just the fucking BFG from Doom. I mean, it is unapologetic. It looks identical to the fucking BFG shot. You shoot out a big plasma orb that wherever it hits, it makes a big explosion, but also along its way, it arcs out electricity that also kills the shit out of things. It is straight up just the fucking BFG. The important part, though, is the right click. Because for the left click, the primary fire to be the most unoriginal gun design possible outside of just being a regular-ass gun, the alternate fire is by far the most original alternate fire I've ever seen in an FPS ever, because it teleports you. Now you may think, oh, well, it just teleports me to like somewhere else in the level, right? It teleports me to wherever, like maybe wherever the cursor is pointing, right? It's a movability, it's a maneuverability option, right?
Yeah.
No. Every level in opposing force has an assigned opposite level that this placer moves you to whenever you alternate fire. Sometimes it teleports you to Zen. Sometimes it just teleports you to an entirely different section of Black Mesa on the opposite side of the fucking Black Mesa facility. And it's just like a mini level that you move yourself to. Like almost, have either of you guys seen the bonus levels or whatever that you can get in the middle of Crash Bandicoot 1?
Yes.
No.
It's almost like, yeah, it's almost like that, where it's like, oh, well, here's just a mini little level that's filled with lots of loot for you to go and pick up, and possibly some dangers along the way as well. And if you get through this whole stretch, there's a portal at the end that just returns you to where you were exactly. And it spins like a massive chunk of the ammunition. But it's such a fascinating like game design choice, especially from Gearbox, to have this gun where it's like you can either spend 20 ammo, like there's a 100 ammo clip max. You can spend 20 ammo to fire out a BFG shot, which is pretty well a screen clear, or you can spend 20 ammo to teleport to a bonus loot room where you can refill on supplies. And that is like a genuinely interesting gameplay design decision because that's an actual choice. You know, and there's viability to either choice, right?
Yeah.
That is actually really interesting. Now, if we want to go in the opposite direction from interesting, Half-Life Blue Shift. It was a really cute idea of Half-Life from the perspective of a security guard instead of Gordon. And Valve evidently thought it was cute enough that they just kept Barney for the rest of the series. But with that said, yeah, Blue Shift's a serious disappointment after Opposing Force. It's considerably shorter. Opposing Force is like, I want to say Half-Life Vanilla is like 20 levels. Opposing Force is like 12. Blue Shift is like 8. And the first and last levels don't count. And honestly, neither should the 7th. So, Blue Shift, the big thing that Blue Shift is really marketed on, and really the only new thing it does, is it brings in a kind of, it's called HD Remaster, but keep in mind the standards of the HD here were for the Dreamcast.
Ah, yes.
Because I only just recently found this out. Half-Life Blue Shift was originally designed to be a Dreamcast exclusive that came with a Dreamcast port of Half-Life 1. And the Dreamcast was, well, the Dreamcast. And the Dreamcast gonna Dreamcast, and it Dreamcasted before they finished Blue Shift, so Gearbox was like, fuck it, I guess we'll just put it on PC instead. And they did. And yeah, it's an 8-level, like, expansion that very clearly was not supposed to be a full-fledged expansion, but just like a cute little level pack to add on to your Dreamcast copy of Half-Life 1. But lo and behold, there it is. with that HD model pack, and I gotta say, one of the first things I did upon starting Blue Shift was go into the options, turn off the HD models.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, they're fairly nice looking models, at least from a distance. They age pretty poorly when you look up close, though, because they're almost kind of in that awkward early PS2 stage of graphics, right?
Yeah.
Where it's not low poly enough to be quaint and charming, but it's not high poly enough from like the late period of the PS2 where it actually looks nice. So yeah, turn that shit off. Very funny thing, by the way, though, is that there's one new NPC added to the game. Literally only one new NPC added to the game. No new enemy types, nothing else except one new exclusive unique scientist called Dr. Rosenberg, who still retains the HD, quote unquote HD model. And he stands next to other scientists a lot, and boy does he look funny. Because the other scientists are still goofy-ass 1998 Half-Life 1 scientists. And Dr. Rosenberg is like a 2001, 2003 period model. And he just sticks out like a sore fucking thumb. Because he doesn't have a one polygon face.
He is superior.
Yeah, pretty well. But yeah, no new enemy types. No new guns either. As a matter of fact, Blue Shift actually has a smaller gun variety than Half-Life Vanilla. Barney never picks up like the exotic science weapons or the rocket launcher. No, he picks up the rocket launcher, but he never really has a reason to use it, for reasons I'll get to later. And like the only way you can get like the snark is through finding a hidden Easter egg. So that's weird to start off with. And no boss fights either. So no purpose for the rocket launcher. So I'm not sure why Barney picks it up. And the weirdest thing of all is that the game builds up to a final kind of climactic shootout you get when you're opening a new version of like the portal that started the Resonance Cascade to begin with to try and teleport out of Black Mesa. And as you do that, it goes, oh no, and it spawns in like 2 hound eyes and like 1 head crab, which are the 2 weakest enemy types in the whole fucking game. And then if you go on like at the very end, oh no, it spawned 2 Marines in a spot where you very obviously see them coming and can just shoot them with a grenade as soon as they spawn in. That's your big finale. It's a little bit flaccid.
I mean, it's Barney.
It is Barney. And it puts things in perspective, really, because like as the game ends and you're teleported, like Barney gets teleported around to all different kinds of places. And I was actually surprised. Half-Life 2 kind of ripped that off. Half-Life Blue Shift kind of did that thing first of stepping into the teleporter and you just teleport to everywhere else except where you want to go first. And you see Gordon again getting carried by the Marines. And like that's where Barney leaves, which really just kind of puts things in perspective of like, wow, Barney really didn't get to see things go badly at all, relatively speaking, in Black Mesa. He just fucked off immediately. The strange thing of all is just like how the expansions are canon. Like, obviously, because like Half-Life 2 does say, oh, well, Black Mesa got nuked, which happens in Opposing Force. And Barney is there, and he's a rather major character, and he was the main character of Blue Shift. At the same time, Valve has just explicitly stated, we're never going to explain what Race X is because that's Gearbox's problem. Like, okay, sure.
Race X is from Pandora.
Yeah. Which, like, Gearbox doesn't... Like, Gearbox is now a publisher of their own and highly unlikely to ever touch the Half-Life license again. So that means that Race X just showed up at Black Mesa and, like, nobody ever talks about them. And the Zen aliens have overrun much of the Earth by the time of Half-Life 2, but the Race X aliens are just gone. Bizarre. All right,
I mean,
I
the
gotta.
things we missed between Half-Life 1 and 2 are we had Race X Wars.
Oh, you thought the 7-hour war was crazy. You didn't see the 7-minute war.
Yeah.
All right, I gotta head off like right now. So someone else do the outro. Addy, don't forget to say bye.
I will.
Oh, dang.
All right. Well, I believe we can call it a podcast.
I believe so.
All right.